Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm so glad you're here this morning. Got a lot of comments on yesterday's show, and I know the question was asked if Santa Claus brought me the Rambo bicycle, and I guess I was a bad boy all last year. I did not get my Christmas Rambo bicycle, but I really wasn't expecting it. But Gail didn't take enough hints, they said. So anyway, we're going to move on. Weather day, it's going to be warm again, 65 high and 60 and 45 low, 20 degree difference there. Water temperature 66 degrees, going up a degree. River readings, let's talk about them again. They're really high. The Apalachicola is still at 21 foot. It was at 21 foot yesterday. The Choctaw Caraville is at 12 foot, and you saw the pictures. When it gets up that high, just everything just floods and all. It's just looks like no end in sight on our rivers all throughout the Panhandle. Tide chart brought to us by Ken Forest Lawn. We're looking at a great tide today and all through the weekend on into all next week. Low at 5:53 this morning, high at 7:34. Good strong tides, and we're going to do a fishing port later on in the show. Also, we'll give away some seafood later on in the show. But let's take a break and come back with our guest. All right, welcome back, and welcome to Captain Rick Corley. How about Rick?
Hey, how are you?
Glad to have you. I wanted Rick to come on because I'm going to let him do a lot of talking, but I'm going to give you, y'all know Rick's background and how long he's been around and all, but we were talking, and we talked several times recently on the phone, but Rick was one of these rare individuals who's been through Hurricane Camille and did a lot of work there, and then going through Michael and Opal in between. So he's going to give us an insight comparing the legendary Hurricane Camille to what we just had and all, and plus all the things he's seen personally and also. And let's start off with what y'all did. We're glad to have you back, first of all.
Yeah.
But just what all been going on? What happened on that when y'all got word that we were having a bad storm?
Well, I had gone to Tallahassee to do a container that had gotten damaged, and I thought, well, you know, they're predicting there'll be a 1, and so I'll come back and get ready to hunker down. And I have a rule that if it's a 1, I just stay put. Mm-hmm. If it's a 2, it depends on if it's going into the west of me, where it puts me on the bad side of the storm, I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. If it's a 2 and it's going in where this one did on the other side, which puts us on the good side of the storm, I'll stay. If it's a 3, I don't care where it is, I'm gone. I'm out of here, because I rode out several of them at sea as well. I've been through 6 hurricanes and 4 of them at sea, and they're not any fun. And you know, but I'd rather be at sea with a good ship than on dry land, because at least you've got something that's built that if you handle it right, it'll handle it. But anyway. We left because when I got back, I stopped at Winn-Dixie to pick up something before I went to the house, and they were talking about how it was a Category 3, expected to go to a 4, and I said, what?
What?
And I said, wait a minute, we got to change plans. So we went and got everything loaded up, and I didn't have anything because I wasn't expecting that. And so I called immediately a friend of mine that lives up in Clarksville. I said, hey, you want a house guest? He said, well, I guess so. He said, come on. I said, all right. So we loaded up, got everything, and got out of here. Well, he has built him a storm shelter out of Connex boxes, and it's a pretty good idea.
That's a great idea. You're telling about it. Also,
yeah.
He just dug a sort of a
he's anchored it down to where it won't go anywhere,
yeah.
If they got time, sometimes somebody want to ask how to do it, I'll tell them how to do it.
Yeah.
But he got it anchored down. Well, so when we got up there, I noticed this rooster walking around the yard. And I said, you got a chicken? He said, no, I got a pet rooster that showed up. He just showed up, and he eats out of the yard out here. He said, he's wild. But he's been here for about a year. I said, that's cool. I said, what are you going to do with a hurricane? He said, I don't know. He said, he's on his own. So we all got in the storm shelter, and we stand there looking out and watching, and the wind was really, it was howling. And all of a sudden this blur went by the window. He said, "What was that?" I said, "Your rooster's got a 160-mile-an-hour tailwind. I don't know where he's going, but he's going to get there in a hurry." Well, we thought, surely he won't survive. That'll kill him. Well, I said, "Nah, roosters are pretty tough old birds. Sometimes they get down. They can get." Of course, I'd like to see where he landed, because I bet you there's claw marks in the ground for at least 100 yards trying to get stopped.
Yeah.
But the next morning, he said, "I wonder if we had to go and use chainsaws to get out of the drive." We had about 300 trees that we had to cut to go about 100 yards out to the 287. And he says, "I wonder if a rooster might." I said, "Yeah, he's eating breakfast right there." And he says, "I can't believe that bird survived." I said, "I can't either, but I'm glad he did." It was funny, though. But he said, "What was that blur?" I said, "That's your rooster. He was booking."
That shows we're talking. Everybody's worried about animals and all. They pretty well can take care of themselves.
I'm sure he got down in those bushes and hunkered down, and stayed low and stayed out of it. And now some of the squirrels, we found a couple of dead squirrels. There, and of course, when I got back to my house, I found some around my house. They didn't make it.
And of course, your house, you had some damage like we all did.
Yeah, I had 2 trees come down and got my carport, my pump house on my irrigation pump, and got a hole knocked in the roof, and tore up some fence, and wiped out my utility house. I had a 16 by 12 utility house, and it just looked like it'd take a beer can and jumped on it.
Yeah. And you're not that far from the bay. You're about...
I'm 880 feet from
880 feet from the bay down
and
there.
I used to, the only way I could see the water was step out in the middle of the road and look down the road. I could see the bay. No, I got a water view from the house.
You got a water view.
I just opened the curtains and there's the bay out.
That's one of the bright sides that people's view has been opened up.
80% of the trees are gone.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break. We'll come back and talk about how, and because going back to Camille, we've got some pictures to show you too, and we want to compare. This is the first-hand front row seat you're going to get of a comparison between Camille and Michael. So we'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, welcome back, Captain Rick Corley. Been around a while, seen a lot of stuff, and you work Camille.
Yes, I did.
What kind of work do you do in Camille?
Well, my dad was put in charge of all the marine claims for Camille, and of course, he was tutoring me, so he put me. He didn't throw me under the bus, but he put me in a position that I was working the 5 biggest claims there, which meant that for 42 days. I worked 16 hours a day straight for 42 days.
You were out there front line of the damage, so you saw it. And then the other day you took the tour around here and all.
Well, I wrote part of the assessment, the marine assessment of what Camille did, and so a lot of people don't realize Camille was originally considered a fort as well. They changed the designation later because they began to realize that when you look at things and you look at the weight of them and you measure, just like a car accident, you measure skid marks or the striations, you begin to figure out, wait a minute, no, this had to be going faster than that. And then you start figuring it out, what it takes to move that. They moved it up to a category 5.
Camille became a legendary storm because of the power and all. You saw it firsthand. So now, how would you compare? You've been around here,
I drove around here all over and looked as soon as I could after I got back, got my situation taken care of a little bit, and then I actually went down and all the way to St. Joe, back up 71, and then back in. Plus, I drove around all around here. And looking at Mexico Beach and that area, which was on the bad side of the storm, right on the leading edge, and they didn't actually go through the eye. They stayed in the storm the whole time. Right. This storm was worse than Camille. It was stronger. In my opinion, it was stronger than Camille. It was a smaller storm. It was tight, but that's kind of like a skater when they pull their arms in.
That's right. That's a good analogy right there. Well, okay, we heard it from an expert right there. That's why I wanted to, and we'll talk more about it the next time Rick comes on. But let's go to some of your pictures now. You got some great pictures.
Yeah, this I took a picture, and this was like almost. I got back within 2 days. We had to use chainsaws to get out from where I was at Clarksville, but this is out at Legendary, and that's one of the biggest boat barns in the world.
In the world,
not the biggest.
Okay.
And that north wind just, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that's the other thing. Look at the damage done to that strand steel building.
Right.
You know, and here is,
Wow.
you know, this is that's Lighthouse Marina.
Oh,
that's the
Lighthouse.
north end. All of them, the north end is the one that's got hit.
Right.
It was that north wind. Now, I'm trying to work a claim on this boat right here before the storm, but we can't take that boat out of there because the building is not stable enough, and they won't let me take it down. So I'm having to wait to do a claim on that was even before the storm. It didn't get hurt, but we can't get it down because it could change the balance of the whole building and the whole thing come down. So they won't let it. This was at St. Andrews that I took that same day. This is like 2 days after the storm. It just piled everything
they
up.
Piled up.
It shoved it all in the corner. That north wind just pushed everything up into the corner. Now this is the downtown marina, and I mean it just.
Wow.
But it ain't one marina. It's every marina from you draw a line from Treasure Island to Hathaway Bridge to the west side of the Bailey Bridge. From there east for 60 miles.
Yeah.
And from the shore 60 miles inland. Well, that's 3,600 square miles that has basically 1/3 is damaged, 1/3 is completely a constructive total loss, and 1/3 can be repaired. And that's, we were talking about, FEMA said there's 275 trailers here. Well, you got about 60,000 homes in Bay County itself. So they're way short.
Yeah, they got a long way to go.
And these insurance companies are coming up with these things like, well, go rent a place. I said, where?
Yeah.
You can't rent nothing. Everything's already rented by people that have come in here to help us, which I don't fuss about them. They got to have a place to stay. I was there. I was staying in Pascagoula when I was working in Gulfport and Bay St. Louis and Biloxi. There was nothing there where we were at, so we had to drive about 100 miles every day just to commute to do work. And the same thing's here. Yeah. But they won't let you buy a trailer. You can't buy it, you can rent it. Well, they don't rent trailers, they sell them.
Well, here's a question, getting back to Camille. How long did it take them to recover? We always talk about how long it's going to take, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, in general. We're talking about complete recovery because a lot of people are recovering within months and a year.
It depends on
how
people.
Did Camille folks do?
It depends on the mindset of the people that live there. And the people in Mississippi, in 3 years, they were in pretty good shape. And in 5, they were pretty much back to normal. And to show you the entrepreneurship and this, it was really neat. I had a 90-foot tugboat, seagoing tug, and a 195-foot seagoing barge sitting on Highway 90 right there at Biloxi. And we built a berm, and H.G. Harder's back then, and they're still doing this, they're very good at what they do. We built a berm around that barge and built like a swimming pool down about 3 foot deep. Well, an empty barge only draws about 18 inches of water. Well, this was an empty barge, but it was sitting up there. So we pumped water with big 5-inch pumps. We pulled water out of the bay and put it in that swimming pool, got it floating, and floated it down to the end, knocked the end out, and had a tug pull it out and got it back in the water.
How about that?
But we couldn't do that with the tug because it drew 9 feet of water. We'd had to build a 20-foot berm, and no, that wasn't going to happen. So I was standing there scratching my head trying to figure out how am I going to get this tug out of here. This is, and I got to get it off the highway. And this fella comes out and he says, "That's your tugboat?" I said, "Well, in a way." I said, "I'm representing the insurance company." I said, "What can I help you with?" He said, "Well, maybe I can help you." He said, "Would you sell me that tugboat?" I said, "Make me an offer." So he did. I said, "Yeah, we can do that." He said, "But I got one thing." He says, "There's a caveat in this." He says, "I need you to move the back end around to where it's parallel to the highway because the bow's sitting in my yard and it'll fit in my yard. I've already measured it." I said, "You just want to leave it here?" "Oh, yeah." "Well, what are you going to do with that?" He said, "Can y'all take the engines out of it and all the inside?" Yeah. I said, "Yeah, we can do that." So that's what he did. And then he come in there, he cut a door in. went in and redid the inside. It was called Hurricane Tug Camille Gift Shop. He put it, and it stayed until Katrina.
It stayed that long?
It stayed that long.
A good American entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, it was a brilliant idea. And of course, it helped me out a whole bunch. I was happy to sell him the boat.
These kind of stories, folks, you don't hear these stories on Panhandle Outdoors. You won't hear these anywhere. That's a great story. And we're gonna listen. We're gonna give away some seafood. Let's go ahead. Rick, I'm gonna let you draw some names out of here. First name, Tarpon Dog Seafood. This will be for a $20 gift certificate, okay?
Oh, they got good stuff.
$20, good fresh stuff.
Well,
that's going.
Troy Watson.
Troy Watson, okay. Do one more, and it's going to be for the big red snapper. That'll be some good eating.
Yeah. Somebody will eat that old dead fish anyway.
Who was that?
Brewster Cobb at Fountain.
Up in Fountain. Brewster and Troy. That's our winners. We're going to take our final break and come back with some more good stuff with Captain Rick. Yeah. Okay, welcome back. Let's look at fishing game times today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers, 10:42 to 12:42, right in the middle of the day, and tonight, 11:07 to 1:07. Before we get to our fishing report, back with Rick, I got a couple of quick announcements. This is going to be, check this out, Tuesday, February 19th. That's over a month, and that's 6 weeks away, but they're going ahead and having a meeting about the St. Joe State Park. So go ahead, and it's going to be there at St. Joe, at the public library there at 2 o'clock, February 19th. Of course, I'll remind you, but if you're like me, you like to put it down on the calendar. The State Park Ranger is going to come talk about the 2 islands they have, and he's going to talk about, the actual campsites, and he's going to have a slideshow and what's going on with the campgrounds and all. His name is Dennis Whitley, and he'll be talking, so I'm going to definitely be there if something will come up. Also, on a quicker note, January 15th, the Panama City Kayak Fishing Association, that's a good group of folks who love to fish. They're going to have a little get-together the 15th at 6 o'clock. That's next Tuesday, the 15th at 6 o'clock at Major Smokehouse right there on Lisbon Avenue and 390 there, Major Smokehouse. And we'll talk more about that. Then I've got a couple other announcements I can just cover later. I do want to, Wednesday night was some sad information coming out of K&G Queen Fleet, which is formerly the Davis Queen Fleet. They have actually decided to, here's their announcement right here. They actually, let me see, the announcement. I'll just read you the first couple of sentences. It is with heavy heart that we inform you that the Florida Queen and Star Queen will no longer be running. Due to Hurricane Michael, the boats both received damage, causing them to be totaled by the insurance company. Mm-hmm. And they go and talk about, we're going to talk about this more and more later. That was a sad time Wednesday night when they made that announcement. They got like over 180 comments within 2 hours. That's part of our heritage.
Yeah, and I was talking to some. Pam was on. She's going to replace 2 of the boats. They said out there with theirs, but they'll probably have to go and find. Like I was telling you, in boats in the harbors, they'll be going into the commercial side of it, looking for a boat. But there are boats out there that they can find and replace them with.
Well, let's look on.
It's not cheap.
That's one of the things talking about the future. Good thing we got great things coming. We just got to keep on digging, keep on clawing, and get on at it.
Remember I was telling you about the mindset of the people?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and just telling it like it is, New Orleans had this mindset, we're a victim, come do it for us. No. But the people in Mississippi, we can fix this. And they jumped in there and they were back. Panama City's that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough because what you had is there was a lot of people that were living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have a house. The place they're working has got to be rebuilt. Mm-hmm. So they got to go somewhere. They don't have any reserve. So we got to lose something. We're going to lose.
And another parallel that was not a parallel between Camille and Michael. We had like a double spear. We had all the waterfront damage, but then all our folks inland, all the timber and all, they didn't lose that much timber.
Yeah.
But now we lost 80%. I have friends that lost their retirement, 80%, 90% of their retirement, all their timber, because it stayed a hurricane all the way up into Georgia. It was so tightly wound.
It stayed a hurricane till it was 129 miles northeast of Virginia. Yeah, back out in the Atlantic, it became a tropical storm.
So we had like a double disaster.
It was a hurricane all the way through the United States.
That's amazing. So, but like I say, we're going to be back strong. I feel good about that.
And the one thing that I was upset about was, and I feel for the people that had the fires in California, but they were talking 153,000 acres. and 88 people died. That's terrible. But we got a lot of people here, and you got over 2.3 million acres that's been affected here, and you had about 3 days coverage in the news, and it's gone. Like we don't exist. And that irritated me a little bit.
We'll talk about that. I know, but you again recapping everything in the last minute or two, the extensive damage just unparalleled.
Yeah, this was a serious storm. Yeah. It really was, and in some ways we were fortunate because we could have been Mexico Beach.
Yeah.
Very easy.
And another thing people haven't thought of, Mexico Beach, they were hammered, but that was a small community compared if it had hit Panama City or Fort Walton and Destin, because the eye wall stayed so strong. So count on blessings. I know so many people are hurting and all, but we got brighter days ahead.
Yep.
And
we'll be back. I believe in 850 strong. I really think people here are like the old fishermen. They went through tough times, but they'll make it. They're tough. They're not. You don't put them down. Keep them down.
Well, we're going to start wrapping things up. Rick, when are you going to get back in your house full time? You having?
That's a good question.
Good question.
I probably by summer I'll have most of mine repaired.
And so many of us are in the same boat. And also, excuse the term, being in the same boat, but we're going to be back and all of it. So we encourage you to do some outdoor stuff. Go this weekend. Be a great weekend to go to the woods. Great weekend for fishing. Now, the fishing reports I do have one fishing report, and doggone it, I don't know if I have time. I'm going to have time to do it. Larry Brown sent me a report from Choctahatchee. Real quick, Larry Brown. The crappie don't want to bite. Haven't heard anyone catching. The trout and reds are about 8 to 10 foot deep in Choctahatchee Bay, and the river is confused because of all the rain. Don't know what to do. But his wife Becky skunked him when they went fishing. So that's a common theme. It seems like outdoors. But we got to
get out. Got more patience.
I'll tell you. Thank y'all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. You have a great weekend. Do something good for your fellow man, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.